Hi everybody, Dr. Liz Carter here. This week I wanted to focus on a little thing that I mentioned last week in my video, 3 free and easy hacks to kick your cold now. I talked about making your own stock or broth as a way to kind of help you heal from your cold. This is a fantastic, nutrient-dense, perfect food for when you're sick. And then in general, if you really like making your own soup or stock, there's absolutely no reason not to make your own stock. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about stock. I think it seems really gourmet and difficult and like, oh, only chefs have time to do that. There's no way I could do that. But that could not be farther from the truth. Making your own stock is super, super simple. And today we're gonna make some veggie stock. I specifically chose that one because it takes much less time than any stock with bones in it, especially chicken or beef. That can take up to 12, 24, even 48 hours sometimes for beef bones to make that stock. But veggie stock only takes 1 hour, and it's so, so simple. It's not even an hour of you doing anything. It's an hour of it simmering on the stove, you doing your own thing, coming back, straining it. That's it, done. The vegetable prep literally takes 2 minutes. It's fantastic, fabulous, and then you'll always have this super nutrient-dense, lovely food on hand for if you want to make soup or if you get sick and then you're not feeling well, you've got this really lovely broth right on hand for you. So let me flip you around. Okay, we're all flipped around here. This is what it looks like to make your own stock. That is it. So let me just walk you through this. I've got some peeled and pressed garlic cloves here. You don't even have to mince anything. It's really just taking the skin off the garlic cloves, right? We've got onion that's quartered and peeled. So it is nice to take the skin off the onion just because the skin can get bitter if you cook it over the long term. So not quite as much an issue in veggie stock since it's only cooking for an hour, but important if you're cooking stock for longer. Right, so then we've got about 4 carrots here. This is really optional. You can do more onion, you can do more garlic, you can do less carrot, whatever floats your boat is totally fine. And then about 3 stalks of celery here. And you can see I love this kind of veggie prep because it's a rough chop. It takes 2 minutes to do all of this. I am usually patient with many things. I am not patient when cutting vegetables. Usually that's actually reserved for my husband. He makes these really nice, neat little chops and does things beautifully. I do not. I can't handle it. So making stock is really, really gratifying to me because it's just a few chops and wow, we're done. No big deal. So moving into this little bowl here, I have my high mineral salt, which is why you can see kind of the color flecks in there. I have a couple teaspoons, 2 teaspoons of black peppercorns and 2 bay leaves. So the salt, I actually have 2 teaspoons as well, because for this stock recipe, let me go right on over here, we've got about 9 cups of water prepped and ready to go in. So the rule for salt is that you want to add 1 teaspoon per quart of water. So 9 cups is just a little over 2 quarts of water, so we're going with 2 teaspoons of stock. And of course at the end you could always salt and pepper to taste. Great, and then the one thing we haven't talked about that's right over here is this big old pile of parsley, which is so, so wonderful. It's so nutrient dense, it's delicious, it's very light and kind of lemony in flavor. Most stock books, when you're looking at recipes, tell you to use like a couple tablespoons or teaspoons. I just use the whole darn head. All of this because it's so nutrient dense, it's so mineral rich, which we desperately need. We all tend to be really deficient in minerals. You can see all I've done is just chop off the end of the stock there. You can certainly chop it more if you want, but again, I am impatient with chopping veggies, so that is about all I can handle. That's what I do. Parsley is just, it's so wonderful and flavorful. And just really an excellent addition to your stock. But that is it. That is all it takes. Great, so moving on to the next part, I've got you set up here with the big pot that I use on the stove. This is my Le Creuset that I love. It is a little bit more expensive of a pot, of course, but it also lasts a lifetime. It's wonderful, cleans up super easily because of the enamel in here rather than the cast iron. You can actually use soap on it, but I love it. It's my go-to stock pot. So let me just go ahead and get the ingredients in the pot for you. You can see just how simple it is. I'm going to bring my cutting board on over. We're just going to throw everything in the pot here. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to put my nice big chunk of parsley right on top there. And my herbs and bay leaves. There we go. Oops, salt got a little stuck there. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and then I am going to pour the water on in here a little slowly. I usually do the water second just because, you know, if you're putting big heavy chunks of onion into a stock pot, you don't want to have the water in there first and then the onion will splash water all over and all of that good stuff. So great, there we are. You can see the water isn't, you know, it's not covering all the veggies. That's totally fine. These are going to cook down over time. So I usually will give this maybe a little bit of a stir just to distribute the peppercorns and the salt, but no big deal if you don't. You can really just leave it right in there. I will cover it with my lid, turn on the burner, and let it go. That's it. Then you just set the kitchen timer for about an hour, walk away. It's great. Well, actually, you want to make sure that this comes to a simmer first, right? Which might take 5 or 10 minutes depending on your pot. Turn the heat back down to about a 2 or a 3, and then set a timer for an hour and walk away. That's really it. Okay guys, I just wanted to take you through the last bit of how I make the stock. So it's still simmering on the stove over there for an hour, so we'll just fast forward to here. So I just have a nice big metal bowl that I know is greater than the 8 or 9 cups of liquid, so I'm sure that the stock is going to be in here, which is great. We don't want to overflow and lose that hard work, or not so hard work, but our effort. Good, I'll put that right on the sink here, and then I've got this lovely strainer here. I specifically like this one a lot because it's very fine. You can see right through here, right, that it's going to catch all of the parsley leaves and the peppercorns, so you don't have to worry about any of that coming through into the broth. So those two are just stacked together in the sink, and then you bring the big pot over, you strain it through. I take this out, I put everything in compost, and that's really it. So I did want to mention the importance of the materials that I'm using here with a metal strainer and a metal bowl. Really important when you're straining hot liquids, because the hot liquids, if you're putting it into plastic, it can leach chemicals from the plastic into your food. So you've got this really nice, lovely, organic veggie or bone broth, and you put it through plastic and it's got all these weird chemicals in it now from the plastic. So using metal is really, really important. I would highly recommend doing that. It will take it a little bit longer to cool off in the bowl here, but that's a small price to pay for not having all of the gross chemicals from plastic go right into this lovely broth that you just made. So my last tip is how I store it. So for storage, I do use plastic. I use these lovely quart containers here that I get free from my grocery store, which is very lovely of them. I wait for the broth to completely cool. Nothing hot goes into plastic. So again, just let it sit out, cover it with a plate so you're not losing all the evaporation. But these stock containers are great. They're quart containers, so you know that there's 4 cups in them, which makes it super easy. If you have a recipe that's 2 cups or 4 cups or 6, you know exactly how many of these you need to use. So I fill them up when the stock is fully cooled, and then I just store it in the fridge along with my other stock. It's really all there is to it. Oh, one more pro tip actually for onion and garlic hands after you prep them. I love coffee soap. So this is not a particularly lovely bar because we're halfway through it right now, but the coffee is specifically wonderful because it binds up all of those lovely onion and garlic smells that get caught in your fingertips, and it washes them out. It's really fantastic. They call it cook soap, which I had never heard of until recently, but I love it for that reason. So then my patients don't smell my onion and garlic hands if I've made stock that day. It's a common courtesy, really. But I actually get this soap on Etsy. I think Rocky Top Soap Shop is the person that I use. No affiliation, I just really like their products. Great, okay, so that's it for today. I hope this was really helpful, really easy for you to follow. You know, it's really a straightforward process. There's no reason not to do it because it just gives you so many benefits of having this stock on hand. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Take care.